So it is about 12:15 local time, and a fog has rolled in over Martin Stadium here. Giza Field, Martin Stadium. Either way, I'll never be back in this building again. Good to say that, good to feel that, because it has not gone well. And honestly, I'm getting out of here. I'm cold, I'm tired, I gotta catch a flight in the morning. And this game really didn't deserve me sticking around to talk about it all that much. If we're just being quite honest, 56-14, never really in this game. Shedeur sacked 4 times in the first, I think, 10 plays. A couple of those he held on to it, but a strip sack got his throwing arm. Coach Prime after the game said that he was experiencing some numbness in his hand. He came back out after, I think he was out for a series, came back in the game, had gotten his elbow taped and his wrist taped, and then he came back out, tried to play again, got sacked again, I think, got hit again, and that was the end of his night. As it should have been. I mean, that kid has taken an absolute drubbing all season long. Hard to watch at this point, really. I mean, look at that. You can barely see the field. And it's not the smoke from all the fireworks. I'm surprised. It's probably a good thing it's the last game for Wazoo here, because they probably have to get some more fireworks after that offensive explosion tonight. You know, I expected a beat down in Pullman. I did when the schedule got released at the beginning of the year. This was one I always had Colorado losing. Friday night, end of the year in Pullman. The last 4 times they've been here, they got absolutely killed, just destroyed. And tonight was the same. You know, not a ton really to say about that game other than the fact that season's almost over. I would probably consider shutting down Shedeur for next week in Utah. I know that's not who Shedeur is, but at this point in time, he's real hurt. He's got the foot or the ankle. He's got numbness in his hand. He's been taking massive shots all year, sacked over 50 whatever times, nearing a FBS record, nearing the school record. I just don't see much of a point to it if the downside is he gets hurt and maybe isn't healthy this off season. That would be, for spring ball, that'd be really tough, because this program is going to need a fully healthy Shedeur Sanders come spring to really hit the ground running. You don't want him having to deal with rehab instead of actually being able to help contribute to next year's team and build upon it. Unfortunately, this season is coming to a sputtering end. Buffs have lost 5 in a row, and you know, the narrative that they'd only gotten drubbed by Oregon changes tonight. You know, I just think for the expectations heading in, Wazoo had just lost to Arizona State, Cal, and Stanford. They really shouldn't have lost to Stanford last week, though, to be honest with you. A couple of real lucky scooping scores from Cal. Did I say Stanford last week? I meant Cal. Shouldn't have lost to Cal last week. A couple of lucky scooping scores. It's a good Wazoo team. You know, they'd lost 6 in a row. Not an elite Pac-12 team, but certainly enough to punch Colorado right in the mouth. A banged up Colorado team. I don't really know why Travis Hunter was in the game as late as he was. Didn't really seem like there was anything to be gained from that. But I guess in a regard, you can say, well, you know, you're playing for your teammates. You want to show some pride. And I understand that as well. Man, it is foggy out here. It just rolled in. This is wild. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't have done that. That was a nice catch he made. He mossed the kid, but mossed 2 kids. Then he came up limpy. I just, you know, I know that there's something to not quitting and showing your teammates that you're out here fighting just the same as they are, but I also know that I actually think that might be the Buffs. They just took off from Pullman, I think. Like I said, I know there's something to, you know, being there with your guys and staying in the foxhole. I just think a little short-sighted. Luckily, Travis, it appears, is okay. I asked Coach Prime after the game. He said he's good. And I asked Coach Prime about Shedeur shutting him down. He goes, that's not who he is. You know, they haven't discussed it yet. I would have that discussion, because there comes a time as a coach where you have to do what's best for your players. And I know Shedeur wants to finish the year out. I just don't see the benefit. That Utah team is going to feast on them. Feast. And they're going to put him in a really dangerous spot. Now, I know he also said that they're trying to win. So, you know, he's not really concerned about using the last game as an audition. I think that's fine. The problem is you can't start Gavin Cold or Ryan Staub, and, you know, tell your team that you're trying to go win a football game, because neither of those kids should be playing at the Division I level. So it's tough. I mean, Cold didn't even start at his JUCO. I don't even think he started in high school. So, I mean, what message are you really sending there? It's also kind of part of the problem of never having a backup quarterback, but who are you going to get to come back up Shedeur for 2 years and know that they're not going to play? Maybe next year, but you know, out of all their problems, backup quarterback right now, it's just very insignificant, if we're being completely honest with you. Because if Shedeur's not healthy, then the season's pretty much over anyway. You know, numbers-wise, Prime said, he goes, you know, they weren't like eye-popping numbers, you know, staggering numbers like, you know, they have allowed in several games this year, but got to be better on third down, got to be better stopping the run. The defense kind of got hit in the mouth tonight. Responded a little bit. I think the turning point in this game, Colorado scores, Travis Hunter cuts it 14-7 in a play that, I mean, Shedeur could have run for the first down. Had he not completed it, that was probably a topic of conversation, but he did. Great throw, moving right, back across his body, throws to the left, 45-yard touchdown. Travis, a great adjustment to snag the ball. And then the kickoff, they gave up a 98-yard kickoff return, and that was basically it, 21-7, and the vibe, all that momentum you had was just shot. This team's too fragile to have their confidence rock like that in general. So, really tough one tonight. And again, it sets up a situation where, what are you playing for next week? You playing for pride? You're playing for pride, and you put Shedeur out there, and he gets seriously injured, you will be kicking yourself, not only all offseason, but most likely next year. And he gets significantly injured. I mean, he's already going to have to do some sort of rehab. I'd be stunned at this stage if he didn't have to have some sort of procedure already by the time the season's over. You really don't want to have to make that a significant injury, God forbid. So, you know, this is the familiar feeling at the end of a CU football season, right? You lose 5 in a row, gonna be 6 in a row. Utah's gonna stop them next week. And just kind of sitting there at the end of the year. And, you know, we talked about it the bye week. What you didn't want to do was lose momentum, right? That you built up some momentum going 3-0 and, you know, 4-2 there. And man, that Stanford game, it just kind of all goes back to that. Like, you blow the biggest blown lead in school history, and it is tough to recover through the jet wash as a program. And then last week, I think there was a chance last week to kind of put a stop to the bleeding at least, maybe gain a little confidence heading into this short week here at Wazoo, but then they absolutely blew it last week against Arizona. So, you know, tight ball game. Arizona wins that game, but 4-7, they lose 5 in a row now. Probably gonna be 6 in a row next weekend. And we are nearing the end of the first year of the Coach Prime era, which has been, man, it has been a hell of a ride. I mean, one way or another, it's the most entertaining last place team that I've ever covered, undoubtedly. And now what happens moving forward? Does this losing streak here hamper a bit of your momentum in recruiting? I think it might. I really do. I mean, Coach Prime talked about needing 7 to 8 dogs. Well, he's going to have to sell, and I know he says they don't sell, but they're going to have to start selling a little bit here for sure, because I don't know how you spin the way they ended the year. Yeah, well, maybe we had a bad offensive line, and we just need you, plug and play, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Offensive coordinator-wise, obviously, they've got to figure that out. And I don't think they're going to make too many changes to defensive staff, but we'll see how everything progresses. I just I know that there isn't anything to be gained from playing Shedeur next weekend, and I respect his warrior mentality, but I think, honestly, maybe more of a warrior to kind of take a knee, and just say, okay, I fought like hell this year. I gave it everything I had. Didn't have the pieces around me, and I'm not going to risk what could be a very productive off season for a chance to win against a much better football team. That's the one thing. Prime doesn't have the experience of the Pac-12. I'll tell you one thing: if you thought this CU team has been stomped by stomped by Wazoo, well, check the record against Utah, except for 2016. I mean, Utah, Kyle Whittingham, they've had their number. That one should probably be over by half. I mean, with or without Shedeur, if I'm being honest, just because I don't think he's really healthy enough to go next week. I know they'll try and get him right, but if I were Prime, I would take that decision out of his hands. I just don't know what's to be gained. And if anyone out there can find a benefit from it, then maybe I'd be open to listening. I just don't see one. Even the message of, starting Staub or Cold, it's one of those situations where now you got to look big picture here. And as a coach, and honestly, as a dad, you probably got to step in and say, look, you fought like hell, proud of you, but this is, you did everything you could. And now it's time to, rest up, heal up, set sights on next year, maybe look at having that procedure if any procedures needed. I'm just assuming that there are at this stage. He's super banged up, man. The kid's been a warrior. He even tried to tough it out once again tonight until he just couldn't anymore. And Colorado loses 56-14. Whew. Huge win for Jeff Dickert and that Cougars program. They played well tonight. Cam Ward played well. Not outstanding, but certainly, absolutely whooped the Buffs once again. Colorado gets another tail whooping. Only their second tail whooping, really, of the season. They've been more or less in most of these games, but not tonight. Not from kickoff. And for the very last time ever, hopefully, crossing my fingers on that one, from Pullman, Washington, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you this week as we gear up for Thanksgiving in Salt Lake. Woo!